This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on the South Today, Otago University researchers have discovered the same hormone which makes women lactate makes males better fathers. Pupils at Tokomariro High School are being taught the finer art of whakairo, or traditional wood carving. And a young Finnish bartender in Queenstown feels blessed with the community support she's received following a stroke. Kia ora, good evening. I'm Simon Anderson. University of Otago researchers have found male mice become better fathers when given a hormone that promotes lactation in females. Researchers hope the finding will help them to understand why prolactin is released in new human fathers.
It seems these days fathers of newborn babies can be forgiven for feeling a little hormonal, following an Otago University study on mice.
So basically we're trying to see how hormones affect dads, and if it's the same hormones that affect moms, if they also affect dads.
Research fellow at the Centre for Neuroendocrinology, Dr. Christina Smiley, says about 20 mice were studied over a period between 2 and 4 years.
So basically we did a couple different things. One, we blocked the hormone from entering the blood system, and two, we prevented prolactin from being able to act in the brain. And if we did either of those things, the dads basically ignored their babies. So they were taking care of them as good dads with high prolactin, and when we suppressed that prolactin, they stopped taking care of their young.
Research showed the brains of male mice who are fathers are being flooded by the same chemical as breastfeeding mothers, prolactin. The research is a one-way street for the mice, as their brains can only be studied post-mortem through a microscope.
We have to confirm that all of our treatments are working in the brain, and so we have to look at it at the end. Yeah.
In male human parents, prolactin rises pre-birth and during parenting activities such as holding their child. Dr. Smiley is unsure what gives some human males more prolactin than others.
Yeah, that's a really good question, because there is variation in prolactin levels, and we don't know if that for sure causes differences in parental care, but it might. And that's really an open question. We don't really know.
The research has been published in the leading academic journal, Cell. In Dunedin, the South Today.
A covered plug socket was the probable cause of a house fire in Oamaru early on Saturday. 2 fire and emergency New Zealand crews were called to the Clyde Street just after 6 a.m. to find residential property well ablaze. Flames could be seen coming from several windows and doors, and it took firefighters about 3/4 of an hour to extinguish the blaze. A fire investigator says a child's bunk bed covering a heater plug was the fire's most likely cause. He says the plug either became dislodged and sparked, or it created some heat that built up and started the fire. Pupils at Tokomariro High School are being given the opportunity to learn whakairo, or traditional Māori wood carving. It's a new course at the Southern Wānanga, giving learners an insight into ao Māori or the Māori world.
Giving a masterclass in whakairo, or traditional Māori wood carving, Kaiako Ben Whittaker enjoys sharing knowledge he's gained through lived experience and studies at Te Wānanga o Aotearoa.
Whakairo is breakdown of 2 words, whakairo, which means to be like the worm and eat the wood. But we're learning about the different patterns, the different meanings, cultural storytelling, keeping those stories alive, the connections to Te Ao Māori.
Your Waka-based tutor says people are discovering the Māori worldview, or Te Ao Māori, making it more than just chipping away at wood, with designs connecting tamariki to their past.
And show my family, and they'll also show my family on it, and I'll be able to show my cousins and that they're in it too.
I wanted to put some Māori patterns and what we've learned here in this carving class in our artwork, so yeah, to make perfect art.
The courses run through the 3rd and 4th terms, and Whittaker says The two classes of young and older students he's working with are taking to it very well.
Really finding the junior group of boys who are predominantly Māori are really sort of getting into some of those key cultural concepts, the deeper understandings that lie behind the carving.
He says the pupils are producing a variety of items, from small handheld clubs or patu to mallets, which they can then use for their own carving in years to come. In Tokomarero, the South Today.
A late model Toyota car parked in Burn Street, Dunedin, was extensively damaged in a deliberately lit fire over the weekend. A charred shell is all that remains of a late model Toyota, which fire investigators say was set on fire on Saturday night. Fire and Emergency New Zealand Fire Risk Management Officer Mark Bedenbreck says the South Dunedin fire is being treated as suspicious. Bedenbreck and police further investigated the fire yesterday morning and say the fire's point of origin was found within the car, but they wouldn't confirm if an accelerant had been used. A local resident told the South Today it's not a good situation. A Queenstown bartender visiting from overseas has been overwhelmed by the community support she's received after she had to undergo urgent heart surgery following a stroke. The Finnish national has just started easing back into work after 3 months.
25-year-old Essi Letonen has been working at the Frankton Arms Tavern for several years, but she's been off work since May when she had a stroke, causing her to lose sight in one eye and needing urgent heart surgery. The Queenstown community has rallied around the Finnish national to raise a whopping $22,000 to help her with various bills.
So many new faces just coming out who've known Essie over the last 5 or odd years, so just fantastic. We did some raffles, giveaways, and it just all came together. It was unbelievable. And
the support from locals has left her almost speechless.
Oh, fantastic. I can't really even find any words to say thank you everyone, but yeah.
Essi's just starting to ease back into work, and her boss Justin Fenton says he's very happy to have her back.
We've kept her on as an employee. She's a massive asset to our business. You can't teach a smile like Essie, it's infectious, and the community that's come in here can all tell you the same as well. It's just, that smile is just unbelievable. So yeah, we've just kept her on. We're going to help her through this, stick together as a family, as we should.
Yeah, it's been good. It's only, I'm not really doing big days, but it's nice to get back slowly, and it's going to be a long recovery, but I'll get there.
In Queenstown, the South Today.
Still to come on the South Today, we meet a young musician in Alexandra who's striking a chord with many, and we bring you the last instalment of our cannabis referendum series. See you soon.
You've seen us in the street, now find us online. Check out shopon.org.nz. We have all sorts of treasures, from retro and vintage clothing to antiques, homewares and accessories. New items added every week. We're open 24/7.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
Hoki mai anō, welcome back. A boy from Wanaka with a big voice is making his mark at a young age. At a recent performance at the local smoke-free rock quest competition, the 13-year-old came first in his category.
When Max Byrne opens his mouth, stand back and try not to be swept over. At just 13 years old, his bold voice bursts out.
And I know what's going on, but I can't get out of here, I'm so lost.
He recently performed at the smoke-free rock quest Central Otago regional competition with his own song.
You're right, but I can't be sure.
That performance garnered him first place in the solo duo category. Max was surprised when he first got the message he had won.
Well, I looked at the email and then I was like, oh, is this like fake or something? And then I was like, oh, I actually won. So it was pretty big and I was like, well, like I was just speechless.
Music has been part of Max's world for much of his life.
For a start, my granddad, he got me into music. So I started off playing ukulele and then, yeah, it's kind of happened since then. And I've probably been playing for like 6 years.
He writes his own songs, but he always begins with the music.
So I make like a chord progression first, and then I basically go from there, and then I like try to create a topic and then go along that topic.
Lyrics come to him at any time.
I just randomly get them, to be honest. Yeah, it's kind of funny.
For Max, it's just about the enjoyment of music.
I just like how it is, just love to do it, and it's good fun, so yeah, that's probably what I like about it.
In Wanaka for the South Today.
Over the last few weeks, we've brought you instalments from our You Choose 2020 series, so you can be better informed on both local and national political discussions. In this, our final instalment, we ask local party representatives if they would support some alternative changes to cannabis laws.
Yeah, I think I could support decriminalising, and that obviously gives people the opportunity not to have the stain of a conviction on their record, even for that period before the clean slate legislation would come in. I think that would have been a more sensible first step, but those that were advocating for cannabis law reform really wanted to go the legal path, and I think that's going to lead to a much closer referendum and perhaps the question being defeated.
Yep, if this bill gets voted no, we would still keep campaigning, and we would still, the top party has since its inception had a let's legalise it, tax it and regulate it approach to cannabis, and so if not this bill, we would look at other ways of what we can do to ensure that we're minimising harms.
This bill, to be honest, probably covers a lot of the basis points that we need to be talking about with cannabis, but yeah, I think going forward, if it's still a no vote, we still need to keep the conversation going about how we use it, because there are positive things from medicinal cannabis. So I think it's something that we can use to help our economy, help our people, all those good things.
I would support any sensible change in drug law reform, and indeed when we were in government, as we have just been, I was involved very much in the changing of regulation around police conduct, making sure that when people were caught with small amounts of drugs that they were using because they were caught in an addiction circumstance, that they were referred for health support rather than criminalised. And so I already have been in a position where I've supported some sensible drug law reform, and I would support any further sensible drug law reform.
So I would support anything that moves towards legalising cannabis or recreational substances that aren't affecting people. When I'm looking at legislation, one of the biggest thoughts is what is the reason for it and does it work? I don't find prohibition works at all.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's ultimately where we're going. As you said, 80% of people have consumed cannabis at some point in their life, and I know personally from people in my community that
the health benefits, to help with chronic pain, to help with seizures, to help with anxiety, to help with depression. It's so beneficial. So it's going to happen at some point. It's just a matter of who controls it, I believe.
And you can watch the full episode at odt.co.nz. After the break on the South today, some surprise results from the knockout rounds of Dunedin's Premier Rugby competition, and we have the early week's weather for you. See you soon.
المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Step into Shop on Carrot and discover a shop full of treasures. We have a fantastic range of vintage and retro clothes, upmarket clothing labels, collectible items, beautiful jewellery, quality linen and the best range of vintage haberdashery.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell menswear, it fits.
TV, our favourite babysitter, but it can be tough keeping up with what our tamariki are watching. Luckily, the Broadcasting Standards Authority has made some smart changes to the classification labels. Ooh! Plus changes to the time of day certain rated shows will air, and awesome new parental lock features, meaning your babysitter's job is safe. Find out more at safeviewing.co.nz.
Thanks for staying with us. Premier Club Rugby saw a slew of upsets over the weekend, including Harbour's late win over Dunedin at Kettle Park. A 50-metre penalty put Harbour 13-10 ahead and booked their ticket to play Taieri in next week's semi-finals. Rugby aficionado Paul Dwyer spoke to Harbour's number 10 Logan Allen after the match.
Welcome to Rugby Chat. Look, we've just finished the game here. It's been an absolute thriller. Harbour was certainly the strongest side in this game today. They dominated scrum time. I felt they dominated line-out time, and Logan Allen from the back had a strong kicking game. But Dunedin came back into the game. It was 10-all. There was minutes to go, and so Logan, so you got the penalty. Did you think at any stage of not going for that shot?
No. So it was quite funny. I was kicking those because there's a bit of wind there. I was kicking them from just beyond 50 in the warm-up. So I was confident always to try and knock it over.
Well, mate, that was a great strike, 54 metres out. I mean, then they blew for full time, so it was 10-all. He kicked that penalty. It's 13-10, and I think from what I understand now, you guys are now the top qualifiers, and you'll be playing at home next week, and I think you'll be playing Taieri, who lost today to Southern 7-5. So you'll have a big old day down at Watson Park next week, mate.
Yeah, bring it on. Hopefully it's blowing a gale. Love playing out in the wind out there.
And mate, I did say in the commentary that Lance Spence will possibly buy you a house. So have you got any sights on where you want to go with that house?
Maybe just St Clair on the hill there, get a bit of sun. summer's coming up, so I might need to work on the tan.
But I mean, you'd have to be happy though with your forwards. Yeah, the forwards won you the game, and they were strong at scrum time. They were strong at line-out time, and they were strong on D. They really manned up for you today.
Oh yeah, 100%. They've been doing great like the last few weeks and whatnot. Full credit to Dunedin. Like they did come back. I think one of the boys made a comment that the pushover scrums, when Mark Reeve came back on, it was a bit harder to push the scrums back. So. Yeah, no, it's full credit to the Dunedin team.
So there it is. The other results today is 7-5. Southern upset Tyree at home. I cannot believe that. 7-5. And an understrength varsity side with 6 players out. They got up and beat Kaikoura 28-21. So Kaikoura and Dunedin both gone. Tyree stay in because they're the highest qualifier. But those scores are unbelievable. That's actually killed my picking competition this week. I think I lost to that the Southern lock. I think I got none from 3, and he's got them all. So 28-21 varsity over Kaikoura, 7-5 Southern over Tyree, and here at Shark Park 13-10. And that, with that last-minute penalty, congratulations, mate, and good luck next week.
Cheers.
And that's it from out here at Kettle Park, and we'll be back with you again at semi-final time next week.
And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South today. Otago University researchers have discovered the same hormone which makes women lactate makes males better fathers, following studies in mice. Pupils at Tokomarero High School are being taught the finer art of whakairo, or traditional wood carving, from a kaiako with top credentials. And a young Finnish bartender in Queenstown feels blessed with the community support she's received following a stroke as she returns to work. Now for a look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT, we welcome editor Barry Stewart. Hi, Barry.
Good evening. Labour leader Jacinda Ardern has kicked off her party's election campaign by announcing that if elected, Labour would make Matariki a public holiday. So we're all in favour of more public holidays, I guess, aren't we? The University of Otago is fearing there will be a shortage of student accommodation if it is unable to progress its capital works programs. So they're putting the call out there that there is a concern in that area. New Zealand First Leader Winston Peters, it's political day today, isn't it? New Zealand First Leader Winston Peters was in Dunedin today, going to various centres, and he was promising reconfirming the promise that has already been announced to Hillside Workshops about injecting some funds in there. So he was just letting people know that it did come from New Zealand First, so just to make sure we all knew that. So more than 1,000 Southern District Health Board patients have been waiting more than 4 months for planned surgery. So that's a report coming out which highlights some pretty concerning figures.
That's great, Barry.
Thank you.
And now time for a look at the weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Beginning with the southern view, graffiti presides over the water of Leith at North Dunedin. Looking at the situation, the westerlies continue this week with mild northwest winds tomorrow and colder southwesterlies spreading north on Wednesday. Starting at the northwest of the South Island, Greymouth and Westport are set for cloudy skies at 16 degrees for Greymouth and 14 for Westport. Across to the northeast, the blue skies stretch right across this region. Nelson heads for 16 and Blenheim an enviable 18 degrees. Moving to Canterbury, plan for clear skies in Kaikoura with 16 degrees. Christchurch should make it to 14 and Ashburton heads for 17 degrees. To the southern towns, where cloud and strong westerlies will greet you wherever you go, it's 14 degrees for all, the Catlins, Balclutha, Lumsden and Gore. To central Otago, where Queenstown, Alexandra and Wanaka welcome fresh westerlies, it's 14 for Queenstown and 15 for Alexandra and Wanaka. Slightly windier and cooler in Te Anau, where it's 13 degrees. To the northern towns, Timaru and Oamaru can enjoy a fine 15 degrees tomorrow with light northeasterlies. Moderate westerlies inland and some high cloud as Twizel and Ilmarama both reach 16 degrees. In Dunedin, it's fine and cold tonight, just 3 degrees. A sunny 14 degrees tomorrow with moderate northeasterly winds, a low of 8. Mild northerlies and high cloud for much of Wednesday, but rain and cold southwesterlies develop later. A high of 16 and a low of 5. And in Invercargill, cloudy tonight with westerly winds and a low of 8 degrees. Cloudy tomorrow with fresh gusty westerlies which strengthen during the afternoon, a high of 14 and a low of 9. Showers turn to rain on Wednesday as strong northwesterlies become colder southwesterlies later on, a high of 14 and a low of 5 degrees. That's the news this Monday. For the latest news from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz or follow Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. Have a great evening and week. Ka kite tanoa.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.